Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Football Alliance show. You guys all know me. I am Dirty, but tonight I'm going to start the show off a little different. There goes the hat. I'm actually talking to you as Jason Spurgeon. As some of you guys know, that the Pro Football Alliance, my producer and my partner in crime on Wednesday nights, Arlington Lane from the XFL show, lost his fiance Saturday morning. Ivory was a huge supporter of ours. One of the nicest people I've seriously ever met in my life. Ivory succumbed to, passed away in her sleep Saturday morning. You know, in this day and age of the world today, we want to see our differences and we want to fight and argue over stupid bullshit that we really don't need to. In a time like this, we're all one person. We're all one. We all breathe the same air. We all bleed the same and everything. So if you guys can keep my man and oh God, I'm going to fucking tear up like a bitch, but that's okay. I'm going to power through it. If you guys, please keep my man Arlington in your thoughts, and right here to help with any kind of funeral costs. Right here, you see the Cash app right there, $. Praise Domination, put in that thing for Ivory Griffin to help her family in their time of need. I know we don't usually pander to stuff like that, but this is for my man Arlington, and I love him. And Arlington, I told you not to be on tonight because you needed to take some time. So take your time, do your shit, bro. I love you, and there will be no XFL show tomorrow. But guys, listen, now it's time to get back in dirty mode. Tonight, tag's messed up. Hold on. Arlington's going to be pissed. Tonight, we have it. Tonight, the special guest, Michael Dreyer from the ASFL. I'm not answering the phone yet, so quit fucking calling me, you bastards. This is the preview. And Jaime, I don't know how to say his last name. Guys, you guys wanted it. This is going to be their only live interview about the USFL that they're going to talk anything about the USFL. So if you guys got the balls, because Dirty, I'll call you guys out on your bullshit. But if you got a set and you want to ask them questions, feel free to join us. I guarantee you not a lot of you guys are going to call because I'll bust your balls. So with that being said, this is the Pro Football Alliance show.
Never fall,
Welcome to the Pro Football Alliance show. I am your host, Dirty. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, you guys have asked. I somehow have delivered. I don't know how. I'm going to bring the two gentlemen on. Here's Mr. Michael Dreyer. First and foremost, sir, I have to say thank you for joining us. How are you?
Dirty, look, happy to be on. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I have to say this. I know that you used to work. You used to work for Larry Flint before he died.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that his magazine has given me a lot of joy as a child. Of course, I was 18. I was 18 before I saw his magazine. But his magazine and his books have given me a lot of joy from the time I was 18 years old, sir. So I have to say thank you for that.
No, I'm happy for you. I actually work in his casino, so I had nothing to do with that part of it.
See, you just could have lied to me, Michael, and said you did. You could have just lied to me and said you did, man. I wouldn't have known.
No, we gotta stay honest. But I've been with the Flint family for 18 years, and happy to be with him, and it was great.
Right now, your story is absolutely crazy, and the guy that you have on, right, that we have with us, that somehow you got him. We're going to bring him on right now, right here, Jaime. Jaime, how do you say your last name?
Cuadra. Pretend there's a Q instead of a C.
Well, I will tell you guys both right now. Arlington's already yelled at me. I've screwed up Michael's last name a bunch of times. I keep calling him Dreyer. He's like, "Dirty, you're an idiot." I said, "Yes, we all know I am. I'm an idiot."
You were close.
So, right, yeah. And then we have Jaime Cuadra. Now, two of the guys that were probably one of the most influential guys of the USFL after the original had went away. You two guys. But your guys' story is fascinating because, Michael, you had all this stuff, and then at one time, due to some douchebag lawyer, Jaime got the shit, and then you tried to get it back, but the douchebag lawyer screwed both of you guys over. But yet somehow you remain friends. How is that possible? With that? How is that possible? I mean, the guy right below you with another lawyer screwed you over, but yet you're still friends with the dude. Explain.
I always believed in Jaime, and Jaime's got a good heart, and what happened really, as far as the trademarks being stolen, Jaime didn't have anything to do with that.
Well, what I've read online, Jaime and the lawyer did, but then as you read more, it was more of the douchebag lawyer that fucked both of yous over. So there you go. We'll leave it at that, right?
Okay. Yeah. No, well, we'll go a little bit further. The whole thing is that when Michael and I got together, we transitioned it from him to me for some reasons that we both agreed. It was time for somebody else to take it because he had gotten so much flack for not being able to really bring it to fruition yet. And he was on the way to doing it because most of what I got was all the work Michael did. But then what happened was we kind of took it on and said, well, let's repackage it and bring it into a different organization and have a different face so that we can maybe bring in other people who are looking for credibility, right? And the contract we signed with Michael, that's where everything went to the shits, really, because we signed a contract. Michael and I remember the day we sat there, you and I, at that table at what's the name of the restaurant?
Texas Lucy's in Redondo Beach.
Exactly. So we were sitting there, and the way this was supposed to happen was, if I couldn't get it launched in 3 years, Michael was going to get all of his assets back. No harm, no foul. If we did launch it, then there was going to be some decent money being transferred back and forth. So the deal was really a contingent deal. And what happened was that when I no longer was a part of the group that had it, then they didn't honor that part of the contract. And that's where Michael got screwed.
Yeah, it actually even got even trickier because once Jaime stepped aside, and we were in the process of getting everything back as far as Jaime and I were concerned. Once Jaime stepped aside, for lack of a better word, we'll call the attorney Mr. Douchebag.
The dude sounds like a big old douchebag, is what he sounds like to me.
Well, I'll let you guys make up your mind. When I called him to get my stuff back, I was informed that he started a new corporation and transferred the trademark over to there. Over to there. And I was now part of that group, and I needed to just let them find a buyer for it and do their thing. And that's kind of where it went. And apparently it's been transferred several times since then. But
gotcha.
How would you feel? So I'm sure you get it.
Right. Well, yeah. And the D-bag lawyer, he actually forced me to resign and forced me to literally sign everything off. And that's where I stepped aside and no longer did I have any influence or any control over what was going on.
Okay. So let's go to this. So we have the lawsuit coming up for the for the USFL, right? from the original guys and all of that stuff. So now I don't know a whole lot about trademarking and all that. We talked about it a little bit last week, and I know that, trademarks are renewed every 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. And then after the 10 years, or between years 5 and 6, they kind of, if you don't show interest of renewing them, they kind of go into a defunct type of state, right? So back, I think I want to say it was around 05, 06, Michael, is when you kind of started to launch the new USFL, correct?
Yeah, we'll call it new USFL. New USFL, USFL, and I like Jaime said, I'd gone about as far as I could go, and Jaime and his group could take it to the next step, and I didn't want to see it fall back, and that's when we made that agreement, and so yeah, that's where it started.
Right. Now I know that
Michael and I actually were hit with the same person calling us and telling us that we didn't have the rights to the trademark.
Yeah.
And we had to walk him through all the legal issues as to why what he was saying wasn't actually true.
He
basically fell asleep at the gate.
Jaime, I read his comments about the lawsuit with the new guys or the old guys, and he says just because a knucklehead got the trademark, if I'm a knucklehead or you're a knucklehead, what does that make him?
You're right.
So, I mean, careful with those stones. But the biggest part of it is,
in a glass house.
Yeah, but dirty, like Jaime said, one of the things I ran into was I announced stuff too soon, and I was trying to give people a chance to walk through it from its inception to what it takes to do it, and it put me under such fire from certain people. They just took any opportunity to fire at you, and anything you say becomes an announcement, and that really, I was naive to a lot of that, and over these last 10 years or so, there's no more being naive about any of that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so you say you were naive about No, go ahead, Jaime.
I think with what Michael says, it's true, because once it passed over to me, I was falling a little bit into the same pattern, because what you wanted to do is you wanted to gauge the interest. And if you're quiet, you don't know, right? But if you start announcing things and start talking about things, you start to see whether the viability of the league was really there. If there was going to be interest from people, if there's going to be interest from the ESPNs and the equipment manufacturers, all of those people, you had to go out in court. And if you didn't have something to say, they weren't going to listen, and they weren't going to come in and meet with you. So I think what Michael did, it comes back and bites you in the ass. It really does, because then you get the people who hide behind all of the screens and, send you messages and tell you you're an idiot, or, what are you doing? And then they have better ways to do what we're doing. But I think we tried really hard. Yeah. So it's a really tough position to be in. And I congratulate Michael for staying the course, for sure. And he really did bring this kind of into the forefront. I was really just a little skipping stone, for where it is now.
Right. Okay. So Michael, you said something that really intrigued me. You said that you announce things too early, right? Mm-hmm. If you go online, your whole life, both of your guys' lives are all on the internet with all of this USFL stuff and all of that stuff, right? But, and if you read like some of the stuff, people, and we had talked about this the other day, we talked for a good, hour and a half the other day about this before the show. And, I had said, hey, what do you say to the people who say that you're like a used car salesman, which you had a really good. So, I mean, you're saying that you're announcing this stuff and people are like, oh, well, this guy, he lied, said he had this and he had that. He was just a used car salesman and all that stuff. Jaime's shaking his head no, so he must be in agreement with this. Like, what do you have to say to that when people are saying that you're a used car salesman and you didn't have any of this worked out in the first place?
Well, I never took any money from anybody, so I make me a pretty bad used car salesman. You know, we focused on getting the foundation done, and you know, some people that put any funding into this, you know, there's people in the beginning who are, you know, who are still going to be part of the ASFL. You know, I'm very loyal to the people that stood by me, and you know, I that's not going to change. But you know, Jaime can tell you it's tough when you hear that stuff sometimes, because you know, like I said before, you know, we're not putting together a softball team. You know, and to try to keep people interested, to let you know, hey, here's what we're going to try to do. All of a sudden that turns, somebody says, oh, so you're announcing this. No, I'm not announcing it, but that's what it turns into, you know, when you say something on Facebook. And I learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing that people don't realize is that putting something like this together is so many moving parts. And sometimes one thing has to happen before the other thing happens. And then you're kind of stuck, because the third thing that really needs to happen to get everybody else involved is still waiting out there. And that was the case when we were, you know, when we were looking for owners and things like that, was that you never get a guy who just wants to jump in and say, you know, to hell with everything. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna jump in and we're gonna do this. Everybody always was waiting for the next guy to do it and the next guy to do it. And they would say, okay, well, if you get 2 or 3 guys, then I'll come in. So then you're trying really hard to move that ball somewhere. And like Michael says, you automatically say something, and the next thing you know is that, oh, there's an announcement. It's now a team, or that's now the owner. Now the, you know, so it's a difficult thing, and people can tell you anything they want to tell you, but until they've done it themselves, they hold no credibility with me anyway.
Okay. So now we do have one. My panelist is here, Fergie from USFL Forever, but we have somebody on the line. Her name is Beth. So Beth, you are live. What is your question? I don't, well, her microphone's muted. I can't unmute your microphone. Let's see if I can. Nope, I can't. Beth, you got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, goodbye. I'm not going to play with your bullshit.
Oh,
I'm not going to play. Tell it's that type of show. If you don't unmute your microphone, guess what? Your ass ain't getting on. You know what I mean? It's that simple. Right now, so you guys, let's get back to the USFL. You know, so when was it at the timeline when you actually, Michael, oh, she says, I'm just here to listen. My bad, Beth. I apologize then for being mean to you. I apologize. Okay. I am sorry. Not really. But anyways, thank you for tuning in tonight. Here, I got to do a plug because I see my other guy, he's shaking his head saying it's time to do plugs. Frankie is, hey, this is the Pro Football Alliance show. We are brought to you by PEC22.com. I don't have the ticker wherever. I don't know. Frankie will yell at me later to put it up. But we are being joined tonight by Michael Dreyer and Jaime Cuadra, you know, the former owners of the new USFL. And, I mean, Michael is the new owner of the American Spring Football League, which we will get into later. And I'm still fascinated by these stories that, you know, Jaime hired a lawyer. The lawyer fucked Michael, took his trademarks, and then the lawyer fucked Jaime. The douchebag lawyer fucked Jaime, and then they both got screwed over by the one douchebag lawyer. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. I do appreciate it.
Somebody made money somewhere down this road.
Yeah.
So now, you know, go on.
No, I say, but you know, it's that story's not over yet. There's still I'm sure there's still a civil case coming that way.
All right, so yeah, okay. I'm glad you said that. Let's talk about that. The USFL, the old USFL, is suing Fox for trademark infringements and all that. Now you actually, because we talked off the air, a lot of stuff. You know that this is what we're going to keep off record. But I do know that you actually have a legit claim to some of those trademarks due to your new USFL. So what are you thinking about it?
Well, that's where there's a bit of a misunderstanding from people. You know, we were told early on we needed to obtain all those trademarks. Well, if we did, you know, keep in mind we're going to be updating trademarks, and they'd be updated by 30% or more. and some of them have different location names. You know, like instead of Houston Gamblers, it might be a Texas Gamblers.
Okay.
So now you've got to do a whole new trademark anyway. So,
Okay.
you know, that's where we were going to start it. And we actually had somebody that we had let go from the project before Jaime came in. He got some backer, and they went and they obtained as many of the USFL names as they could,
Right.
which was a complete joke because, like I said, you know, you're really wasting somebody's money with that until you know where you're putting it, what you're going to call it, and what the design logo is going to be. Why do you want to register it twice?
Okay, I get it. Now I'm going to bring in one of my panelists, Frankie, right here. Frankie, how are you, sir?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear Frankie?
Hello, Frankie. How are you?
Hey,
All right,
Frankie.
Mr. Dwyer, Mr. Cuadra.
Frankie,
Well, Dirty, he
how am I
said it
doing?
right.
Well, yeah, listen. Listen. If Frankie starts talking crazy, he knows I'll boot him. I always mess up. That's why I have these guys to keep me in line.
Well, gentlemen, I do appreciate you being on the show. Michael, there's several things I have to say to you at the beginning. Number one, you had the balls to show up. So I'm glad that you did, because you and I have a history, okay? And it goes way back. All right.
Really?
And,
Okay.
yeah, you remember when we talked. But
Okay.
two things I want to make it clear on this program today. Two things a man should never do to another man: kill a man's dreams and attack his family. We're not here for that. Okay. Let's set the rules straight. I'm not here to attack you. I'm not here to belittle you. I'm here for the truth, because I've known this for 17 years. We've been going at this. And even though in the last 4 or 5 years it's been silent, because you're with the ASFL, and I wish you the best with that. But Michael, I have to be truthful. Okay. So
Sure.
let's start at the beginning. First of all, just out of curiosity, because I remember a few names. Who were the original people involved with you when you said you were in the hospital because you got hit by a drunk driver? I'm glad things turned out well. Hope that drunk driver paid for his crime. But
No, he didn't.
well, unfortunately, I get angry when people do that stuff. But who were the original people involved in the new USFL? I know, if I'm not mistaken, the quarterback of the LA Express, Tom Ramsey, was it? Mike Ramsey, Tom Ramsey?
Well, yeah, I'll try to give you. I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version, because you're going back from inception, so that's
Yes.
pretty cool.
And that's where I want to start.
I've been coming home. I was coming home from working the swing shift at the casino, and I was hit by a drunk driver. And while I was laid up, I don't know why, I even was having memory problems. So I started writing down all the USFL football team names for some reason. And the next thing I knew, I was researching the trademark, and basically took the last of the money I had and bought this trademark. And then from there, I'd gotten a hold of Alan Zucker, who was Joe Montana's agent, or one of his agents, I believe. And we met at LAX and discussed the possibility of Joe coming in as a commissioner. At one point, Tom Ramsey had come out to LA, and we met at Texas Lucy's and discussed the possibility of what the television contract would look like, the time frame, pick Tom's brain, and it's still at the time, keep in mind, we didn't have the funding for this. It was just, who wants to be involved? Is it enough? Will enough people believe in this? And that's where Tom came in. And still, the only person that was really in my corner at the time during all of this was Roy Foster, ex-offensive lineman for the Dolphins and 49ers. Tom Shapiro, who's a dear friend of mine, who's an assistant attorney for Santa Barbara. And a gentleman by the name of Jerry Buss. And Jerry kind of mentored me from its inception. And, I was lucky to have him in my life, to just much less being mentored by him and taught. And from that point, it was still just me. And then I brought in some friends that wanted to get involved, and we went down to San Diego, and through Don Klosterman, I was introduced to a gentleman who was part of the XFL and part of the All-American League. And we all stayed at a house in San Diego for several days and went over the plan and everything. And shortly after I left that, just a lot of stuff wasn't quite what it should have been. At one point, Jim Kelly even said he'd be willing to be the commissioner, and he was going to fly out. And I told Jim at the time, I'm not really comfortable with what's going on, so just hold off. And his brother Danny can tell you that. Great guys. I was lucky to, Joe had called in as well, and we're lucky to have those guys be interested. But like I said, from there we just kept seeing what the plan was, what could it work, what investment dollars did we need? Was it an angel investor we were going after? Was it the team owners we're going after? How exactly did we want to do this? And I always believed we needed owners. And a funny story was at one point I got an email, a group email, and I won't say who it was from, but describing what their plans were once they got rid of me. Well, the problem with that was I still had a clause in my contract where if you didn't bring in the funding, I could let anybody go at any time. So I let approximately 11 people go from that project because I could see what was going to happen. And things started to go a little sideways there. I got it back on track. Got the right group individuals that were with me. And once I realized that financially, this thing really needed a major infusion, that's where I met Jaime, and we had our meeting, and that's where Jaime came in.
Right, Michael. But my specific question is, who were the specific
hold
people?
on, Frankie, I got one because there was something that he said that caught me.
Go
You
ahead.
said you were talking to Jim Kelly, right? Did you talk to Jim Kelly, one of the original players from the USFL? And
Sure.
You said he was interested in being, and see right here, somebody's already making fun of me. Frankie, I don't like these fans of ours. Look at this shit right here. It says, Dirty doesn't have enough common sense to say it right. I just can't stand these fans. Can't stand our fans, Frankie. I'm not a fan of them. They're all idiots.
Well,
But anyway, so
I'm not a snowflake, so I'm good.
Right, I ain't either. So you had said, Michael, that you had talked to Jim Kelly, and Jim Kelly said he was interested in being the commissioner. But you said, now hold on, something doesn't feel right to me about this. What was that just didn't feel right to where you would want to keep going and pursuing a little more? What was that feeling that you?
There was a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Soleil who had put us together and put us in this house and was going to do the funding and all these kind of things. And there was just a lot of things that just weren't adding up. And when push came to shove, it became obvious to me that this wasn't going the way it should have been. So I needed to distance myself from this group. Whether I was right or wrong, I still feel I was. And then we moved forward. And like I said, go ahead, Frankie.
All right, Michael. This is
you want his name, don't you?
No. I can give you names.
Yeah, I'm sure you
mentioned them on your website, on your Facebook. You were mentioning Michael Keller.
Okay.
The other one, I believe, was Marcus Dupree. You mentioned
Marcus Dupree, great guy. Yeah,
love great guy. And again, I'm not attacking you. This is about truth, okay? This is 17 years we've been waiting for this, okay?
Sure.
Michael, you were given cease and desist letters from ex-players that you said that were representing you in this group.
That's not true at all, Frankie. I've never received a cease and desist order from anyone.
Allow me to ask you this. You said you had trademarks, right? Were they trademarks just for the USFL letters, or were they trademarks for the teams and the logos?
No,
because that was a confusion.
No, we've said before, the teams are something we feel like we didn't need to go get because we were going to be changing those logos. So the person that went after those logos, hey, that's a calculated, I guess, business investment. But we weren't going to use those same logos. So
okay, but here's the question: it's the USFL. The only thing to fans like me that love this league, who hate the NFL, because if it wasn't for the USFL, the NFL would still be with the same minimum salary today, maybe a little bit higher. But we all know the USFL changed the NFL landscape. Knowing that you're launching this league, why would you not go after the trademarks for the team logos? Because people are going to be expecting the Houston Gamblers, the Tampa Bay Bandits, the Birmingham Stallions.
Right. Well, like I said before, using the Houston Gamblers as an example, we were going to be the Texas Gamblers, and we were going to change that trademark well over 30%. So we would trademark that trademark and register that one rather than do the old one and have to come up and amend stuff and that, we figured it was the smartest way to spend the money that we'd be getting in.
Okay. So.
Well, here, I got a question. We got a fan that got a question, which is another guy, Michael, that we're part of. And he's actually kind of excited to see that you're a American Spring Football League, which we'll talk about. And then is Bobby Thomas over here. He goes, it's obvious that they weren't bringing. Now, this is, I guess he's talking to the original guys in you. So I guess ask it, to answer this question. He goes, it's obvious they weren't going to bring the league back and didn't have the resources to do so. They need to move. He says that you guys need to move along now, which obviously you have. So what was it? What was the major hang up for the resources of why the league couldn't, that the original guys couldn't do it, or you couldn't do it? And then Jaime, same thing for you, why you couldn't do it. What was the major hang up of why the resources couldn't get there?
Well, let me give Michael a chance to take a rest, and I'll fill in a couple of things that happened to us afterwards, which were very similar and partially the reasons why we weren't getting the traction that we thought we were going to get. One is, I totally agree with the idea that we didn't go after the trademarks for the teams because, again, we didn't know where the teams were going to be. Our effort was to try and bring teams to cities that didn't have professional sports so that they would have a better chance of succeeding with the fan base there. So that was one of the reasons why. And Michael never, when he handed over the assets, none of those assets included any of the teams or the logos. We were completely in agreement because we wanted to bring in the USFL as a way for people to understand spring football. That was really the biggest reason for us anyway to move forward with it. But what I'll tell you is the biggest problem, and it's always a problem, is it's always the chicken or the egg situation. Owners wanted to know who was going to televise. Television wanted to know who the owners were going to be. And if you don't have either one of them and nobody will commit, you're kind of stuck in the mud because you keep trying to inch a little bit at a time with owners and trying to talk them into it. And again, like I was telling you earlier off air, owners are like this. Oh, who else is going to be in? Well, we're working with this person. We're working with that person. Well, when that person comes in, then we'll come in. And it's the same thing with everybody. Everybody is waiting for that first domino, and nobody wants to be the first domino.
Wait, stop.
That was when we had.
Did I just hold on, Jaime? Michael, did I just see a Lamb's Cup? Did I just
that's my cup? I love my Rams. I know. I know.
God.
I know.
Oh God, you just broke my heart. All right, Jaime, go on.
So that's kind of the reason why so much of this stalls is because you try to get to the owners. The owners want to know who's going to televise because they're seeing that as being the revenue that they're going to get for jumping in. But until you have the owners and you have the teams, the television, anybody who wanted to televise this, they weren't going to do it until they knew where they were going to be televising and what the size of the league was going to be. So it was really one of those things where it takes so much time to push one thing an inch and then the next thing an inch that pretty soon you keep running out of what we would call, we're launching in spring of such and such. We're launching in spring of such and such. And so those are the things that we had trouble trying to maneuver and navigate. So I think, and it was the same thing with Michael. I think those things are always the case. People are just waiting. They're waiting to see who the next guy is going to be, who they're going to be playing in the playground with.
Okay.
Right. I get that.
And Frankie,
right here, that you guys hit it right on the head, that you hit it right there on the head with the spring football. I mean, my thing is listening to both of you guys and, and knowing Frankie as being a panelist here on the Pro Football Alliance show, brought to you by pack22.com. Call Matt Eddington to start your account today. You'll see the numbers scrolling, and we are fueled by Cafe Piazza, 1900 Arsenal Street. Frankie, I nailed it. See that? You looked at me, and I nailed the plug. Did you see that? I nailed it. We are being joined by Michael Dreyer. There, Bobby Thomas. I messed his name up again, so please chime in and say I'm a douchebag. I don't care. And down there is Jaime Cuadra, the guys who tried to revitalize the USFL with the real new USFL. And Michael Dreyer is the founder of the American Spring Football. And, as my panelist every Tuesday night is Frankie from the real USFL YouTube channel. My thing is this with spring football, and yes, we are. Yes, you're right. We are right here. Bobby said it perfectly. Us people in St. Louis is we are butthurt over our fans leaving. So when it comes to spring football and us having the Battle Hawks, we were die hard about it, right? Do you guys think that, when, and this can, either one of you guys can answer this, is that when, you say, hey, I'm going to relaunch this time, and then it not happens. But then are you trying to avoid, I know Frankie's going to kill me, trying to avoid a situation of like the Charlie's League where you guys, okay, yeah, we can launch, but then you cancel halfway through the season? Or is it just, you don't think people believe in spring football like Frankie does and like we do here at Pro Football Alliance? One of you guys can answer.
Well, I'll start. I think people absolutely believe in spring football. No question about it. But one of the things that Jaime didn't touch on is the other thing that you have, Frankie, is you have people that you might be counting on, and their agenda is veered off to completely something else. And those things do happen. And I can tell you this, the business plan I originally started with was not the one that they were going with. That's the one that I have for the American Spring Football League, which is no question, it's the bastard child from that project, but it's two different business plans completely.
Right, guys. But look, you can talk about this person, that person, trying to get this stuff going. Michael, let's be honest. You have a lot to blame for all this nonsense that was happening. I'm launching in 2007. I'm launching in 2008. I'm launching in 2009. I came in, allow me to finish. I came in after 2007 and realized you had nothing, okay? And some of the people in your inner circle contacted me because I went to them and said, what is this league about? It has nothing. It may have some resource, but it has nothing. You become your own worst enemy when you start shooting. Hold on. When you start shooting left and right and saying, instead of saying, look, I made mistakes, I shouldn't have announced it, I should have not said we're launching every year. And then on top of that, you're mentioning names. And then all of a sudden the fan base starts getting like, okay, this is not real. And the problem that I'm having with you, Michael, is, and I'm not here to attack you. Please understand. This is my personal feeling. Okay. I always called you a charlatan. Always. You know why? Because
I can't believe we had a problem with one another.
No, but
Frankie, I'll tell you this. Hold on. No, because you weren't listening to the beginning of the show when we talked about the mistakes I made making those announcements ahead.
I did listen, but Michael, you're still the same guy. You're still the same guy.
Mute. I'm muting everybody. Everybody calm down. We're all here to have a good time. No need to argue. Jesus, let's go. Everybody good? Everybody shake your head. We good? Okay. All right, here we go. Boy, they're saying Frankie's going ham, but they're loving this. All right, everybody. All right, let's calm down.
Quick question.
Let me just start by Frankie. I'll apologize to you if we offended you by any stuff in the past. And
This has
those
nothing to do
were
with being offended.
those were my faults, my mistakes. I should have never said a word. I should have never let anybody aware of what we were doing, because that's what it turned into.
And finally, you admit it. You finally admit after 17 years it took you.
What's to admit? We've been trying to promote the league. What is it you're trying to say?
Confusion. Here's the confusion. While you were talking about launching and talking about who was involved, not once did you say, "Oh, wait a minute. I don't have the Houston Gamblers trademark. I don't have the Tampa Bay Bandits." Not once, until Jaime Cuadra came into the picture and wanted the San Diego Invaders. And so, if you remember, Jaime, you had a little live feed, and you talked about the San Diego Invaders, and that's when everybody knew, oh, this league is not going to be the USFL from the past because they don't have the trademarks. And then everything started falling apart after that, because it went from you to Jaime to Jim Bailey, and it wasn't until Jim Bailey came up forward and said, look, I'm going to try to launch this. I got to raise $5 million. You can go online. And he admitted the USFL, New York USFL had no funding. He admitted it. And after 6 years, he quit. And then after that, it went to, I believe, the A11. I don't know if it was that true, A11 Football League. And then after that, Fox came in. Michael, I'm just being honest.
Well, Frankie, while you're being honest, why don't you be honest about the fact that I never announced any team names during any of that time?
Because you didn't mention that you didn't have those trademarks. Everybody assumed you did.
I never announced it, never implied it. So,
but the fans, the fans are going to ask.
You're chasing your tail. I never implied any of that.
Hold on, I'll ask this question, Michael. So you say that you're getting ready to launch the new USFL, right?
Yeah.
What was it that you really had said? I mean, because what Frankie's saying is that it seemed like you had implied that you were going to have all of the trademarks. What do you think it was that you said then? Which, I mean, you physically just apologized here on the show that, hey, I am sorry that if people thought that I had that or whatever. What was it that you think that you originally said that would lead people like Frankie and all of these other people who were diehard USFL fans that you had those trademarks? What do you think it was that you said?
It's probably just the fact that we were announcing that we're going to try to launch the league again this year. We kept pushing it back. But, you're well aware of the XFL, right? When they came back, did you assume those would be the same team names coming back? Or were you shocked that there were new names? Jaime can tell you we were going to use some of the old names, updated, and we were going to bring in some new names.
But you never mentioned that until Jaime came along.
Listen, we weren't going to trademark anything until we had it in place, Frankie. Why trademark it, announce it, and waste that?
I've been following you for a long time.
Jaime's Invaders is a separate deal.
That's fine. I've been following you from the beginning because from the beginning, if you remember, let me give you a little history.
Yeah, go ahead.
You used to go on the Vegas Unwrapped show with Aaron Phillips.
Okay? Oh, okay, yeah, great guys.
And I always followed behind you. You know why? Because every time you posted something, I came around with the truth and said, no, this is not happening. You would travel the country, Birmingham, California, different places, and say, yeah, we're looking at a site for the city. Great. But when you were asked specific questions, you didn't have the answers because you had no funding. And that was the frustration. Every time you said you were going to launch and it didn't happen.
Frankie, again, you're acting like you're busting it, like you're breaking a big story. That's no secret. We didn't have the funding.
Michael, you blocked me from social media when I was trying to get to the truth.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Because I was being honest with you. I was speaking the truth.
Hey, you know what, Frankie? When you're trying to launch something and get it moving, and somebody does that, what are you supposed to do?
On, Michael,
tell the truth.
Frankie, Michael, don't make me mute you both. Don't make me mute you both. Jaime, so let's go up to your point of where Frankie said you were getting ready to launch the San Diego Invaders, right? Michael had said, "Hey, I'm launching the USFL." It sounds like he didn't say it, but then it sounded like, hey, we're launching it. We have this, we have that. Back to kind of what Frankie said. Where is the misconception of people when they originally thought that the league was going to be launched but then nothing was said? Where's that disconnect at? from everything.
Obviously, I think it was, first of all, I think it's an assumption, right? People were assuming that because we had the USFL, and they didn't realize that the trademarks at this point in time were held by different people. So first of all, I think, and this is just, again, my opinion, it's not, I think people immediately thought, okay, USFL, that means all of the teams that come with it, the LA Express, the Tampa Bay Bandits, all that. But those trademarks were actually held by somebody else. At least when we got into the picture, we noticed that those were all being held by some other entity, and I don't remember off the top of my head who the name was, but we made a conscious decision not to want to bring those teams in because we knew we didn't know what cities we were going to be in. So we were constantly looking for the cities that had owners that had money to be able to fund their team, because ours was never going to be a single entity model. It was going to be, there was going to be separate owners for each team, and they were all going to be responsible for, paying their bills. I mean, that was really the whole model. So we didn't know where those people were going to come from. We traveled around as well from city to city. We were up in Akron for a while. We went to Louisiana. We were in Arizona. We were looking for places that we thought might be interested enough to be able to bring a team to their city. Portland, for instance, as well. So once we decided that was going to be our model, we also said, well, we're going to make the naming of the teams part of the fan experience. So whether the fans were really going to be able to choose the name of the team, we probably had a team name already kind of set that we liked, but we were going to let people kind of put in their own, their 2 cents in. We had a guy who actually designed all of the uniforms for us with all the team names and team cities that we were anticipating, because in our mind we had chosen some cities that we thought would be a good demographic for this to happen. So we never really went in with the idea that we were going to pull these other teams in. The reason we thought the USFL had legs was because people automatically associated the USFL with spring football. And it was a great way for us to launch the conversation, and to really kind of bring that feeling back, even though the team names weren't going to be there. So,
and that's fine, but it wasn't until you came along that we finally knew what was going on with the team names. Also, real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Real quick, I do have a question. You guys were going to use the USFL name, correct? The logo, not the teams, correct? That's my understanding.
Right.
The USFL name. Okay. So,
Michael, is that your understanding? You were going to use just the USFL logo,
letters,
but not the team, correct? Just
Right.
the letters?
Okay.
Okay.
So my problem with the Fox situation with the old owners, to me, they're out to get money because it's Fox, it's $1 billion. My thing is, and 2 questions. Number 1, were you guys ever contacted by the old owners about the trademark infringements like they're doing now? And 2, okay, I think it's hypocritical that they're going after Fox and didn't go after you guys. So how do you guys feel about that?
Well, I'll answer first.
Well, we both had conversations with the same person. So, Michael, you can go ahead and say the same. Say what your experience was.
Yeah, Frankie. Honestly, they said that we couldn't do it, that we didn't have the trademark. When they researched and they found out, we did it and everything was legal. They were fine. They just wanted to see what the next progress was going to be. And so they were okay then, and I'm sure now looking back, that's how naive I was. I'm sure once we got it launched, they would have been suing us.
Right, but don't you see the hypocrisy? They didn't go after you because you had no money. You had
absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
So
they went after deep pockets.
Okay. Yeah. And Jaime, just to clarify one thing,
here, so
I don't.
Here, Brett put something up here, right here. So Brett put something up, and Frankie, I know that this would be a great question for all 3 of you. Don't you think the original USFLs are trying to get a handout? I mean, God, the league has been dead for 35 years. I mean, I mean, is it that this new league that the old owners are just trying to go after money?
Yes. Everybody
I
knows
would
it
say- I
because
would
they
say
didn't go after
definitely
these two
yes.
guys. They didn't go after
Yeah.
these two guys. They had the trademarks. Why didn't they say,
Right.
hold up. We need to talk. Now all of a sudden
Right,
Fox
'cause I
comes along with
Michael
billions of dollars and now they want a handout.
Right.
Because I see
And
Michael
I know
when
for
you
me,
hold on, Jamie, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Michael, I did see that when you had launched the new USFL, you had it as an LLC. So you were saying, hey, look, I'm trying to launch this. I'm trying to get the investors. I mean, was it that just nobody was biting after all of these years from 1986 to 2005 when you bought it up? You just didn't have any people that were like, the NFL's been around for so long, nobody's going to want to bite on it. I mean, is that one of the reasons?
No,
Why?
you got to remember. You got to remember too. At the time, the All American League had just kind of had its collapse. The United Football League was doing its thing. And yet there's other leagues that were popping up and down that were failing. So I was really afraid of that. But like Frankie said, I made a lot of announcements that I shouldn't have. I should have been clearer. And I'm only going to apologize this one time for that because we learned and we've gotten a lot better at making sure this foundation is solid. But no, there was a lot popping off there. Again, part of the lesson learned. So we let those things die and went on to the next project.
Now, Jamie, you.
So I was going to kind of piggyback off of what Michael was saying. I remember actually vividly being in a movie theater and getting a phone call. My phone was like literally buzzing off out of my pants because I wouldn't answer it at first, and then it just kept coming, and it turned out to be one of the people that fell asleep at the wheel with the trademark, and the conversation was very much about, you guys don't own what you say you own. And I said, well, what exactly are you saying that we own? Or what is it you're saying that I'm saying we own? And he says, well, you don't own the USFL. You don't own all the trademarks. And I go, you're right. We don't own all the trademarks. We own the trademark, the USFL trademark. I go, we don't own the team names. And I think that's where the difference is now, Frankie. I think part of the reason that they get this, they're bringing this lawsuit is because now all the names are also being used. So now all the additional original owners or estates of these owners, because a lot of them have passed away, now they can see that the name of their team that used to be, the Barretts, who were owners of the Tampa Bay Bandits, all of these people now can see that those names are actually being used. And so it's a bigger deal. It's not so much the USFL itself. It's now all the team names, which all the owners do believe they have rights to. And I don't know. I don't know how the transfer of property happened from, the day the USFL had them or these particular owners, whether they let them lapse and they got abandoned. And, if that's the case and people actually applied, got them, then they legally do own them. It's not nobody stole these names if they were abandoned in the USPTO office and they were able to go out and grab them. I mean, there's a bunch of these kind of trademarks. I mean, I almost picked up Lone Star beer because it was abandoned. So I think, to answer your question, Frankie, I think it's hypocritical, yes, but I also think it's the fact that they're using not just the USFL, but all of the team names that really are the sum of the whole, right?
And that's fine, guys. But at the end of the day, you guys were still using the USFL name. Now,
Right.
Jamie, I'm going to tell you right now, before I forget, I want to make sure you understand this. I don't judge you at all for what happened in the past. But I do have a question.
Sure.
If you can go back, okay?
Mhm.
And Michael, I
It's
don't
gonna be
judge you
good.
either, just so you know. I don't judge you either, Michael. We may have our differences.
No, 'cause
I may disagree,
about
but
the,
I don't judge it. But
the
Jamie,
American Football League.
going back 15 years, whatever it was, when you took over, what would you have done differently? Now,
What I've
knowing
done
what you know now.
differently,
To give me specifics.
Okay. First of all, I would have chosen different people to be part of my team. I was naive, and I'm a very trustworthy person as far as I trust people, and I take them at their word, and I think that's where my shortcoming is I asked some people who I thought would be not only have fun doing this, but be a good piece to the team, because I always looked for somebody who could do a specific thing, a legal person, a finance person, an operations person.
Correct.
And I think that I inherited some people, and I also brought on at least one or two people that I feel probably I would have, if I had the chance to do it again, I wouldn't have.
Okay, let me ask you the quick question. Jim Bailey, where did he fit in all this? When you obviously had gone to prison, I was reading that Jim Bailey took over. What was your relationship with Jim Bailey, who was trying to raise funds, $5 million to be exact, to become a feeder league to the NFL, which I forget it. That's not going to work because I hate the NFL.
Right.
They don't need a feeder league. They got college football for that. But
exactly,
what was your relationship with him? How did that all turn out when you went to prison and he took over? How did that all work out?
So what ended up happening was, and I'll give you the pre. We got together with because we were in San Diego. We got together with Jim Steig, who was part of the NFL office at one point in time, was the director or the COO of the San Diego Chargers. We were introduced to him. He came on as a consultant, and as we got deeper and deeper into it, he brought Jim Bailey in, because Jim had moved to Del Mar, and so they knew each other, and so that was how Jim got there. And we thought, well, Jim has NFL experience, he has some credibility, he has. He
worked for the Cleveland Browns, right? The Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, he was the attorney for them. And he came in, and we brought him in as a consultant as well.
Okay.
So that was his role. 100% was to kind of be our training wheels. If we were going left or if we were going right, and he knew something that would be not a good thing to do, then we would look for his guidance. My issue then at that point in time, when I caught my case, I was forced to resign. I was forced to resign by the attorney that I had brought on as a partner. Forced to resign, signed away everything, because they didn't want my name anywhere around it. And so I did exactly that. No fight. Walked away. And I think at that point in time, I had zero communication with anybody from that team. I no longer.
All right. So Jaime, here's where I'll stop you. So you signed your rights away, and that's where, Michael, let's go to that, because that's your point, where you had the relationship with Jaime after everything was all said and done. He signed his rights away. You were supposed to get it, and then that's where the D-bag lawyer screwed you and took everything else back away from you, correct?
Yeah, I was actually, the group Jamie's talking about is In Zone.
Correct.
And I was part of that group. And it was, like Jaime will tell you, that was supposed to be returned.
Hold on one second, because there's one question. We're not talking about anything, what you just heard. That's the last we're going to say of anything about Jaime and that issue. That's it. There's nothing else is going to be talked about.
Thank you.
That's the last time. We're not saying anything else about it. It wasn't,
we got you.
That's it. This is it was just a part of the conversation, and the way that Frankie worded it was perfectly. So we don't elaborate. Other than that, no more. All right, Michael, go.
We got you. And Jaime can tell you, the time has lapsed. They were going to give me back my property. And that's when Jaime resigned, and the lawyer started another company called Touchdown and merged and transferred everything over to it. And when I contacted him, he informed me that they were going to market this thing. And once it was sold and taken care of, they'd be back in touch with me, and we'd go from there. When Fox makes its announcement, I realized, okay, I've been ripped off. And Jaime and I started talking, and
not
here
once,
we are.
Twice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's my next question.
Yeah, the agreement
That's my
that
next
the agreement that we had when I took it over, and really again, just to I started with Michael just writing and looking at the business plan and making some comments and adjusting it, and that's when I decided that it would be probably a better idea to move away from Michael's group to bring it into a new group that maybe didn't have some of the past stuff that was going on, and we tried to do things a little bit different. But what we did do is we told Michael, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the trademark, but if we don't launch in 3 years from the date we sign this agreement, everything reverts back to you. It was all supposed to go back to Michael. There wasn't supposed to be anything that went forward. So what happened is when I lost, obviously had to sign away, I was no longer in control of what was going on. And, the rest of the group there didn't have, honestly, they didn't have the same respect or didn't have the same feeling for Michael that I had. I always felt like Michael and I I understood where he was coming from. And I never had an ill thought about it. In fact, never in my mind was I going to try to take anything away. I wanted to make his dream come true, just using a different vehicle.
And that's fine, guys. Michael, listen, two questions. Well, two things actually. What lessons did you learn from the new USFL that you're not applying to the ASFL? What lessons did you learn?
We're not announcing anything until it's done. We'll let you know if this is our intention or if we're announcing anything. That's the biggest thing. And I get a lot of people give me heat because I'm so quiet. I learned my own lesson. Like I said, I was naive to that stuff, and I let myself get guided into something that really wasn't an announcement. It was just me telling everybody what we're doing.
That's fine. We all make mistakes. I'm not judging you.
Now, here's what I'm seeing, Frankie, here's what I'm seeing. Jaime, here's what I'm seeing. And Michael, here's what I'm seeing kind of with the XFL, right? And actually here, so I do have one question. This is from Trey McDonald. So he wants to know why you guys just didn't adopt a new trademark. Why didn't either one of you guys go for a new trademark?
Well, you can go ahead.
Call the league something different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't because we felt that was a great door to open with. People understood it. They remember it. Most of them had a nostalgic feeling for it. So for us to use the USFL trademark was something that, we felt would be accepted and adopted a lot quicker.
Right, Jaime. And that's exactly the sentiment that I had back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, when
Right.
11, and then you came in. That's what I'm talking about. The fans,
Now,
I'm speaking for the fans, they
Right.
had that sentiment that it was coming back, but there was a lot of misleading information, and that's why there was so much of this. That's why Michael banned me from his Facebook social media pages, because I kept coming at him like, hey, what's this about? But let me tell you, let me ask you this, Michael.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and I know it's your dream. Let me tell you something right now. A man without a dream is dead, okay? I applaud you. I gave you credit for showing up on this show. I told you I'm going to give you 2 credits. One for showing up on the show and facing me. I give you a lot of respect for that. The second thing I'm going to give you credit for, indirectly, not directly, indirectly, is that you are the reason we're talking about the USFL today, and you are the reason who started this from the beginning. And even though it felt dead for a few years because Touchdown and whatever they call themselves, LLC, took over, I will give you credit, Michael. I will give you credit that you started this ball rolling. Again, we may disagree how you handled it, but I assure you this, I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you can launch your ASFL. I really do, and prove me wrong. I personally believe it's not going to happen. Now, am I trashing your dream? No, I'm not. I'm just being honest because of the past. But I hope your American Spring Football League does launch, that through this broadcast, through other means, that someone comes along and say, you know what? Let's make Michael's dream come true. I know this is your dream. I know you because of the fact of the history that we have. But I'm not bashing you because you're trying to do something. I'm just saying the message was mishandled. And what Jaime was talking about is exactly what the point I was trying to make. We all believed in you, all of us. But when it was 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I mean, by the time we got to 11, I was already on you. And every social media page, every podcast you went on, I was following you, letting people know this is not happening. I was right. But I was
Frankie,
not bashing your dream.
I got to tell you one thing there, Frankie. What you don't know is while you're doing that is I'm being hounded by someone that I had let go from the project. And Jaime knows who I'm talking about. And he used all sorts of different fake names to attack me and whatnot. And I was a little sensitive to a lot of people because I didn't know if it was him attacking me or somebody else. So my apology to you earlier was sincere. And, I hope from here we can go forward. You can get my number from Dirty, and anything you have to ask me about the ASFL. I'm not hiding anything.
No, I just hope
stop. Frankie,
what happened?
Michael, did you guys literally just kiss and make up on the Pro Football Alliance show? Did you guys literally just kiss and make up on the Pro Football Alliance show?
Dirty, you're just trying to get clicks.
Well, no, Dirty. Honestly, Frankie's right about the way that I mishandled all that stuff in the beginning, and that's kind of why I was part of that group with Jaime, and we kept me quiet because I'm still being under attack. Hell, I did a show in Ohio, and that guy got on the show afterwards and tried to badmouth me, not realizing the person's show that was part of that group. I understand your frustration, Frankie.
For the record, I never badmouth you. I was just speaking facts because I'll give you just to show you how much I remember.
Hold on, now listen. I'm on vacation, Frankie. I'm on vacation.
Who cares? I've been waiting 17 years for this, so you can wait. Listen, Michael. Let me show you. No, listen. I remember this vividly.
Hold on, I got a caller. Go
ahead.
Caller, you're live. If you act like a clown, I'll hang up on your ass. You're live. Go. But hello?
We worked out the kinks before the show. Don't tell me you messed up again.
You're live. Go on.
No, this is Mike Keller. I was part of the show and I got disconnected.
Oh, Michael from the Michigan Panthers, the Vice President of Football Operations. Am I correct?
You have anything to say? And be nice, or I will hang up.
Now the show got interesting.
Well, I was one of the original startups of the United States Football League, as well as part of the startup of the National Football League Seattle Seahawks. And I worked for the National Football League office for about 10 years. Started up teams in Europe with the Scottish Claymores and some of the others. So I have a lot of background in the startup, processes.
Okay. Now my question is
XFL too.
I've asked these guys, why is it that spring football? Here's what I'm seeing, guys, and I'm going to tell you, you guys are all spring football guys, right? I'm a fan of the XFL. There goes Michael drinking out of his Lamb's cup again.
Sorry,
just killing me, breaking my heart. Now, The Rock has bought the XFL, right? Now, I'm a huge XFL fan. There's certain things that I know that I'm not going to say on this show about the XFL, but kind of like what Michael Dreyer and Jaime and Michael Keller, you were here on this show, if they're kind of doing the same thing that's going on, saying, oh, we're launching this, we're doing this, and not saying shit, right? So it's going to make people mistrust you. My question is to all of you guys right now, why is it that it seems like all of the spring football leagues seem to be shady guys? I'm talking Charlie's League. I'm talking the XFL. I'm talking the USFL. Why does it all seem like spring football won't work? Frankie, you start first.
Let me interrupt you real quick there. Vince McMahon with the WWE, he's the one that started the XFL. He financed it. And I tell you what, he's a solid businessman, a solid individual. He's flamboyant, but he's not a run of the mill guy. And if he tells you something, he follows through on it. And that's what he did. I was the first guy they hired to start the XFL. And our only problem was Vince is a showman, and he just tried to combine some of the theatrics of the WWE with the XFL, and the football fan did not accept it.
Okay, now I'm even talking the original USFL. It worked for 3 years.
I was with the original USFL. I was with the startup of the Michigan Panthers, and I was the second guy hired in that franchise.
Okay, and then, but again, after 3 years, that league went away. Why did that league go away? Again, I'm going back to that point of spring football.
Because they decided they were strong enough, the USFL owners, and perhaps the people in the league office also, although the league office guys did not buy in. They felt that they were strong enough, and they convinced each other that they were strong enough to move from the spring into the fall, where the real money was.
Okay, then
they felt that they had Fox Television in their back pocket, although Fox backed out of the deal.
Okay,
and so it never happened.
All right, now Jaime and Michael and Frankie, do you guys all agree with that? That's one of the reasons why the original USFL failed.
Well, that and overspending, but my thing is going back to the shadiness that your question was about. When you have the Charlie Embersols of the world, that man should be in jail because he knew there was no money. Charlie Embersol knew there was no money. You can't hear me?
No, I'm not hearing any other voices, just yours.
Frankie, see, we tried this and it worked, right? It worked.
Can he still hear me, or is he hearing you?
He says he can't hear you at all.
Okay, can you tell him what I said real quick?
Go on, say it again.
The original USFL
I'm not hearing
overspent.
with you.
He said that the original USFL overspent. That's what Frankie
they didn't
said.
overspend.
He said they didn't overspend.
No, the USFL had plenty of money, more money than some of the owners wanted to spend. I mean, I happened to be with the guy in Detroit, and he had more money than God, and he was willing to spend it. There were some other owners in the league that were the same way, but you had the haves and the have-nots in the USFL. But the league could have continued to go because they had enough owners that had enough money and were willing to spend it.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. Frankie, the phone lines were working earlier, were they not?
Yeah, they were. But let me ask Michael a quick question.
And when I called back in, then I couldn't get into the whole thing.
Okay, well, try back calling the other way, and I'll get you back in.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Frankie, let Michael and Jaime actually follow up with the question that you had there.
Yeah.
Charlie Embersol should be in jail. I'm sorry, he's a fraud. Oh, and by the way, did you know, guys, that the money was supposed to come from a USFL guy, Arizona Wranglers defensive back Reggie, forgot his name, Reggie something. He was the one that's supposed to fund the league. The AAF ended up going to prison, because he had judgments and a bunch of lawsuits, and that's how the league folded.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Okay.
And Charlie knew.
No. I mean, here's my question. I'm going to go back to saying it, right? I mean, let's look at the history of spring football, right? It just seems like that it just doesn't work. Why is it that spring football does not work in the spring? What is the reason for that?
They can go.
Honestly, I think part of it is you've got to cultivate that audience, and you need to be able to grow slowly. If you come on the scene, bang, everything's all the bells and whistles. That's a pretty big bill to pay at the end of the year if you're single entity. So I think that's a big part of it.
I think the other part of it, I would add that the marketing was bad. I think, I'll go to something as really as a name, but it's actually something that we found. Things like the uniforms, the team names, those things just didn't resonate with people. And so it was, we had, at the AFL here, we had the San Diego, what were they called? Gosh darn, I can't even remember now.
The Fleet?
The Fleet, yeah.
The Fleet,
that even though it's a Navy town, it just didn't resonate with people. It was the Fleet. It didn't give you a feeling of, there's something there to want to go see. And I think, for all intents and purposes, people still want to see names too. They want to see people that they've either seen before or that they recognize the name. I think it's difficult for people to jump in and become fans if they don't know who these people are.
Oh, well, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
I agree with that. All right, so let's talk about it. The other reason why Michael's here and Jamie's here is you're launching a new league, the American Spring Football League, right? Now, let's talk about it with the USFL and the XFL coming up and just around the corner. And Michael, you've said it a numerous times on this show tonight that you're not really announcing anything until you have everything in place. You're only announcing a little bit here and there, which I do like.
Yeah, Jamie.
You your ideal of the 55 field goal.
I don't think I'll ever forget that visual right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about it. What is it to take? So where are we at in the process of the USFL or the USFL right now? Where is Michael Dreyer at, and where does Jaime fit in that process? But where are you at right now in that process?
Okay, you're talking about the ASFL.
Yeah, the ASFL. I'm an idiot. I apologize. I screwed it up.
Oh, it's okay.
Michael Dryer's ice cream.
Yeah, it's just something that, you know what, the idea was solid. There are ownership groups out there that are willing to come in. There are stadiums that are available. It's just a much smaller scale, and it really does have to grow. It's going to take our league, a few years to grow to where, we can pay big salaries. But, right now, to get it up and running, we have to keep the pay scale much smaller. That goes for the coaches, the ticket price, the players. And granted, it's not as exciting as saying we're from coast to coast and all over here and there. We're funding this with owners. There's some crowdfunding involved with it as well. It's a grassroots blue collar thing. Go ahead, Frankie.
Quick question. Two things. Jackie Sherrill, he's involved, correct? Jackie Sherrill?
Yeah, Jackie's always been in my corner and a consultant to us, and Jackie has the rights to the Mississippi team. So, Jackie's. I couldn't say enough great things about Jackie. I love him to death.
I have nothing against. I think he's a good man.
You said grassroots. Oh, Frankie, I got to go with this one because my show is based in grassroots from the get-go, from the ground up, out here screaming and yelling at the top of my lungs to support something, right? Because I just love spring football, right? And actually, the comment right here, which I got to post too, because I don't want to lose it. And this is from Thompson. He said that you guys should join you guys should join the true XFL and USFL fans. We'd love to have you. He is part of the Birmingham Stallions right now. He has the largest group for that. But grassroots, when you're talking grassroots, Michael, okay, what is it that you're doing grassroots to get that? I mean, it's stuff like this. Listen, you've had some balls. Frankie came on. You guys both got a little heated. Had to mute all of you for a minute because you guys started to lose control of the show. But hey, listen,
it's just passion.
You guys, right? You guys worked it out. You kissed, made up right here on the Pro Football Alliance show, brought to you by Pack22.com. Hey, special guests tonight are Michael Dreyer from the American Spring Football League, and right down there is Jaime Cuadra, the guy who originally stole it and then got screwed over by a lawyer, and then the lawyer stole it from Michael, and then you got my other
keep
panelists.
Saying I stole it. I didn't steal it.
Yeah, Jaime didn't steal.
I'm sticking to my story, damn it. Jaime stole it. I'm sticking to my story, but you guys kissed and made up. That's the story I'm sticking to.
I've already got other things behind me on. I didn't steal that.
Listen, I still got to ask my second question, Dirty.
Yeah.
So mute your mic.
All right, hurry.
How did Jaime come in?
The second question, Michael, is you were recently on a podcast, Mr. Deacon. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Me if I'm wrong, because I heard it and I went back and listened to it like 3 times because I couldn't believe it. You said you wanted to compete with the XFL and USFL, and you were launching in 2023 when you were asked the question. Is that true?
Yeah, we do plan on launching in 2023. And you know, we're not really I mean, we're all playing in the springtime. You know, we're fighting for territory, but we're not going to be crossing paths with those guys. We're not going to be in the same markets. But yeah, I've got our business plans are so different, Frankie, that I don't see how we're you know, they're spending a lot of money to launch this thing on the XFL, and the USFL has Fox behind it. So you know, where they're going to be in you know, 30,000, 40,000 seat stadiums, we're looking at 10 and 15,000 seat high school stadiums, soccer stadiums, average ticket price of $30. You know, so that tells you right there the pay scale is not going to be. You know, these guys aren't going to be retiring on what they're making from this league in the first few years.
No, and I understand that, but you're saying now that you're going to launch in 2023,
right?
And so you do understand that when 2023 comes, you know what people are going to say if it doesn't come true. And
I know you'll be chewing my ass.
No, hold on. I'm not going to be doing it. No, I've done this long enough. I know that this is your dream, and I hope it happens. And I wish you nothing but the best. But Michael, I just think it's better not to say anything, because when you start putting yourself out there, like for example, let me ask you a question. How many owners do you have so far in this league?
4.
So you want to, from what I'm remembering in the podcast, you want to launch 8 teams minimum, because with 8 teams is a real league. I agree. Right. So you have 4 in the hole right now.
Right.
Where are the other 4? How close are you with the other 4? Because you're going to launch in 2023. You got to start leasing stadiums and stuff like that.
Yeah, these are some groups are new groups, like the Ohio group came out so strong and hard that you got to sit down on top of them, and that that's another thing too. You might trademark one of these teams, and somebody comes in with deep pockets and they want to rename it. You got to give them that opportunity.
Okay.
But yeah, we're coming in 2023. We got 8 owners. Like I said, it's very grassroots. A big difference from what everybody else is trying to do.
Dirty,
right, now you say
Keller still on? Is Keller
no.
still on the phone?
No.
Okay.
He's not. So you say grassroots. Now you got me peaked, because this show right here, the show right here, the XFL, STL Talk Show, logo behind me. This show right here was built on grassroots stuff. What are you doing in those cities? I mean, it looks like you got a guy beneath you, Jaime, that might be able to put a team there in San Diego who doesn't have a team. Maybe, I don't know. But what are you doing in those cities to get that grass movement going?
One, finding the right owners groups, making sure that the mayor and the city planner is willing to embrace us, making sure that there's a stadium that fits it and a bigger stadium nearby in case we create a ticket demand. Those are the first few steps that we've been taking, and it's something we've been doing for quite a while. And like Jaime said, it's that chicken and egg thing. Once the first guy comes in and says, "Hey, I'm an owner," the second one, the third one, the fourth one, it starts to happen. And there's people out there that have the money to do it, and like a lot of the minority groups that we're going after, this is your chance to go and be part of a league and own a team. So. And Frankie, when it comes to my dream, and Jaime can tell you, one of the things I'm the most proud of, no matter what scale it's done on, is the jobs that it creates for mom and dad, because it does mean a difference between maybe that kid having breakfast the next day. That little job in the concession stand, whatever little job that we can help create. But to the grassroots part of it, we do want to have local athletes. We want to have local announcers. If we were in St. Louis, we'd be going after Dirty. We want to
see right now. Listen, Michael, I'm going to say right now, I'm throwing the hat in. Frankie, you can shake your head all you want. I'm throwing the hat in right now for St. Louis to get a team for the American Spring Football League. I'll drum up the investors. Look, right here, my girl Sandy's on the show right now. Sandy's my biggest supporter, and we'll be pushing that shit left and right, saying, hey, St. Louis, I'll get the entire city of St. Louis to invest, to say, let's get us a team for the spring football league. I'll even find the place. Frankie, you want to get in on it with the St. Louis team?
Listen, I'll stick to my USFL right now because that's what I'm focusing on.
Dirty, honestly, I think the XFL owns St. Louis if they come back.
No, we do. They would. No offense, Michael. Listen. I like Frankie said. I'll say you've been great. You've been a very open book. You and Frankie kissed and made up. I love that. I like that you guys made up. But yeah, you're right. And
you're just playing. You're just pushing the buttons again. That's all you're doing.
I am.
But before we go, real quick, Michael and Jaime. Okay.
Yeah.
Question for each of you is the same question. In the last 20 years, what's your biggest regret?
Ooh, good one.
Jaime, you go first.
No.
You go first.
My biggest regret is letting go of this project, not following through. A dear friend of mine, Richard King, said, once you've got them by the balls, their hearts and minds will soon follow. And that's the biggest difference with this project here. I'm not letting go until it's done and everybody's on the same page. And then, it'll take on its own life. But that's my biggest regret there is, I feel like I've let some people down with the way the USFL landed. But, I feel good about where the ASFL is and Jaime and I's friendship and where we're going.
All right, Jaime, you.
Probably my biggest regret probably is not being more discerning in my selection of team members to surround myself with. I think I allowed some people in that didn't have the same agenda as I did, and really and honestly, for me, it was following on Mike's dream. It was as well the fact that we were giving guys a chance to play a game that they loved. It was giving jobs to people from trainers to referees to concession people. I think that was as a businessman, which is what I was and still am, that's really my biggest goal, is to create jobs and to create the ability for people to make it. It's a tough world out there, and nobody's creating new things too often. So I think that was really, so I go backwards to my regret was not surrounding myself with the same like-minded team members.
And Michael, you're involved on the ASFL, but Jaime, what are you involved now as far as profession, or what are you doing for a living, if you don't mind my asking?
No, not at all. I do a lot of consulting. After everything that happened, I'm really the perfect guy for you to bring in to make sure that somebody's not doing what happened to me. So it's helping people set up, infrastructure for their business. It's walking them through decisions and how they should be made and how to run a company, because I had a lot of experience in running large companies. And so I do a lot of that kind of consulting. So it's fun. It gives me the ability to be flexible and not have to answer to anybody.
And before you ask that question, the next question, Dirty, Jaime and Michael, how are your families doing today?
Go ahead, Michael.
I'm blessed, honestly, Frankie. My kids are all doing great. I'm expecting my fourth grandson or fourth grandchild. So yeah, I'm doing great. Healthy, made it through COVID. Beat it once, and couldn't be happier. I hope the same is going for you.
Well, because the reason I asked that question before you answer, the reason I asked Michael is because I told you at the beginning, I'm not here to attack your family or attack your, kill your dream. I'm here for the truth. But I know you went through something when you were going through the USFL, if I'm not mistaken, where you were attacked and your family was attacked, which was stupid.
Yeah.
So you may elaborate a little bit.
Sure. There was a person that went after my 13-year-old daughter at the time. and
Wait,
and
what?
just harassed the heck out of her. Yeah, he had contacted her through Facebook and then other means, and was harassing her about, what I was doing. And I had told my kids before, honestly, people are going to think I'm a crackpot or a nut because I'm trying this. That part of it was a little scary. And again, Frankie, that's another reason I was kind of sensitive back then. And I appreciate you asking that. I really, I'll say it again. My apology was sincere to you about, any misleadings that I had in the past with you.
All right, I hold no grudges. I asked that specific question because I remember. Because
Yeah.
like I told you, I remember you and me, the history we have. I even remember when you announced Gary Danielson as a head coach on the Vegas Unwrapped show. I remember I said, "Are you kidding me?"
Here comes the clickbaits. On the Pro Football Alliance, brought to you by Pack22.com. Frankie from USFL YouTube channel forever, and Michael Dreyer of the American Spring Football has kissed and made up.
Nah, hold on. Jamie still has to answer the question. Go ahead, Jamie. You still have to answer the question. How's your family?
After everything that happened, and unfortunately, so much of what happened was misreported. It was tough for them. It was a tough time to go through. But the one thing I will say is I was already divorced, but I had an amazing ex-wife who was very supportive and stood by me. I had my 2 kids who are phenomenal kids, and I love them to death. And, I talk to them every day, and they stood by me. Never, not once did they have an ill thought or were at all concerned. They were concerned for my well-being, because it was something. When you have a guy who's never even gotten a speeding ticket, looking at 2.5 years, then you're
we're talking about.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, they're doing very, very well. All of them are healthy and on their careers, and we're still a pretty close family. So I appreciate you.
I'm glad your ex-wife supported you, because mine took me to the cleaners with child support. Okay, so at least yours supported you.
She's a phenomenal. She's not listening, but she is a phenomenal person, and she just, it was tough for her because the last name is the last name, and she stood by me. She always did. So,
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So,
here's
the question. Ricky, why did you ask me about my regret?
What?
My regret was I didn't meet my current. You asked them guys about the regret. My regret is I didn't meet my current wife sooner. I was in 18 years of hell with my last one. So this is actually the guy that launched all of this right here, Michael and Jamie. This is one of the main reasons, and Frankie can vouch to this, why we reached out to you guys to get you on. It was this guy right here, Michael Thacker, was the reason why we reached out to you guys on all this. So he wants to know this to everyone. Do you think that the Spring Developmental League, financed by NFL owners also, and not solely the NFL, would provide more substantial and success within spring football? No competition against the NFL, adequate funding, TV networks, and an existing NFL CBA. He thinks that it would be a great opportunity for bubble practice squad players to improve their craft. With that, their respective teams before a training camp. So that question is for all of you guys. What do you guys think on that? Who wants to start?
Isn't that called the World League of American Football?
I was just going to say that.
That was already tried.
That was exactly what it was. Yeah.
And by the way, the first year was good. The problem was that they started bringing in second and third stringers that you saw in the fall, and nobody wanted that. I remember because the Orlando Thunder brought in Scott Mitchell, the rookie from Detroit Lions, and everybody booed him because everybody wanted the Florida Gators quarterback from the year before. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Which kind of goes back to that. What I was saying is people are gonna flock to leagues when they know who the players are, when they have an ability to follow a player. And I think what you just said, Frankie, is exactly a perfect example. Is everybody wants this guy, but this guy is not somebody that they knew, so it wasn't as interesting for them to watch.
Right. They became attached to the rookies, the guys that were not well known. So,
right.
Now, let's go. I want to go to this question here. Now, Michael, this American Spring Football League is launching, you're saying next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of my things, what made you come up with the idea of the 55-yard field goal for 4 points? Like, what gave you that idea?
Yeah, honestly, it was an NFL game that I was watching, and they were down by 4, and they were just in that gray area where all they could do is chuck the ball downfield. And it made me start thinking about what could you do where the game could actually be a little more interesting and your team might be able to still be there.
Correct.
So that's where I came up with the 4-point field goal.
I agree. Right. The kickers are way too good nowadays. They're way too good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, it would make great for fantasy football points.
Yeah, would. Yeah. You know what? That would work great for your league in 55 field goals. His name is called Taylor Russolino. He's the big boom from the Battlehawks. He was our kicker, dude. 60-yarder field goal.
Yeah, where is he now? I thought he would have caught on.
Well, so so let's go back to your league, right? You're wanting to launch your league in the midst of, USFL and XFL, right? Like, what is it that you're going to do to draw players to your league? Like, what is it that you're going to do to get the players come to play for you in the ASFL?
It's going to come down to the players that are comfortable with what league they feel is going to be around longer. I think in the beginning, the XFL, the USFL should be able to pay these guys more money. They're going to be in bigger stadiums. Like I said, USFL has Fox behind it now. There's no question you should be able to finish your season. The XFL this next time around as well, there should be no excuses for you not to finish your season. But for us, we're a standalone professional spring league with a smaller budget, and that's just the reality of it. We can't pretend to be something that we're not. This is what we have.
Question, Michael, do you have a backup plan as far as we're still in the pandemic, but when the XFL started, no one expected for it to shut down because of a pandemic. Do you have a backup plan if something were to happen?
We do. It's if something was to break, it would be the same, either the bubble atmosphere, and that's really the only backup plan that we could come up with is put everybody in the same area, whether it's Arizona, San Diego, something like that.
San Diego's got a brand new stadium.
Yeah,
that is true.
But then there's a place like Ohio too. But that's the only backup plan we, honestly really have. Other than that, we're pushing through and keeping our fingers crossed, and that's kind of why we pushed back another year.
I just remembered something. Back in the USFL, when you were trying to launch it, you said, and I saw it on your LinkedIn page, that you were going to be the owner of the Arizona Outlaws. Is that correct?
Yeah. And Frankie, the way this thing is set up now, I don't have the money to own a team. So, it's set up to where, each owner is protected by someone that doesn't have the funds to come in. I might have the funds for the league fee or to get started, but if you don't have the league, the fee, the money you need to get it all done, you can't get in anyway. So, as much as I would love to, unless there's some crowdfunding and some other groups behind me, I can't focus on that.
Fair enough.
All right, so here's a question. Here's a question. Again, this is from Bobby, and Mike's got another great question. Has the ML Major League Football or Frank Garcia? Well, I mean, listen,
hey, they're a joke. They're a joke. Come on, Dirty. They're a joke. Okay. Hey, listen.
Right, but listen,
I have more faith in Michael's ASFL than I do MLFB. Okay.
Well, there's a back.
Holy!
I have more faith in ASFL than I do.
More
Major League Football is a joke. You know what they did in Tampa? They literally had a press conference, and whoever the heck it was announcing that the league was going to launch, and then at the end, the CEO said, "And I'm going to bring on my vice president now. And before I go, anybody who has money, bring money." I already knew they were full of crap. I knew
Oh,
it. Bring money.
yeah.
Does anybody remember that? It was in Lake.
No, I didn't see them. I know a little bit about them from other people, and I actually got a phone call not too long ago, kind of sort of telling me to back off certain areas because they're already going to be there. I'm not worried about them. If they whatever market they're going to be in, I'm not afraid of going head to head with them.
Yeah, but it was a joke because as soon as he said it, I said, I can't believe he said that on live TV because it was actually broadcasted on local news, like it was breaking news. And I said, who are these guys? And then I found out there was a Chinese guy with $27 million that's supposed to invest in the Major League Football.
Believe what that guy said, but then you sit here with me for an hour to 2 hours every Tuesday and the nonsense that comes out of my mouth.
And I do it for free.
Yeah, right. You do it for free. And poor Michael from the American Spring Football League and Jaime here got to listen to me and you act like two idiots. Well,
hey,
I'm
not
like
an
an idiot.
Hold on. Half an
But
idiot.
You're the professional.
guys, I do want to say, you know what? I'm glad Jaime and I kept our friendship, and it did grow. And I know a lot of people think it's kind of strange.
I think it's strange.
You know what? We actually work really well together when we work on things. So I'm excited to see how we finish, and I'm even more excited to see or think about the look on people's faces that would hate for us to get together and work together. So.
I wish you guys nothing but the best. I mean, Jaime.
No, I know. We love you. Thank you, Frankie.
I have nothing against Jaime. I have nothing against you, Michael.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. There's people down in San Diego that would hate to know Jaime and I were even talking to each other.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is, I appreciate both of you coming on here on this show because it's not easy. We don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not a snowflake. Neither is Dirty. We call it like we see it. And I was raised to basically take it by the bullhorns and move forward, not cry about it, not look back and, oh my God, I'm a victim. No, you got to move forward. Right. You learn from your failures. Am I correct? You learn from your failures.
Oh, absolutely. You learn
that's why
more
the ASFL is here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I hope it does work out for you, Michael. I'm not wishing you any ill will. Jaime,
well, no, I appreciate that.
Hope it works out for you too, whatever you're doing now. I'm just saying that I appreciate both of you coming on board and getting this out of on the open air because no one has done this. Am I right? Honestly.
No, and rather than people ask us questions and assume things, we wanted to set the record straight. Like earlier, nobody's ever given me any kind of cease and desist, that kind of stuff. So we're hiding nothing. So that's why we appreciate you.
One last question. Idiot. Oh my God!
I seriously, I just can't stand any of these fans. They're all idiots. All of them. They're all idiots. Every last
Michael, last question. Your thoughts, and I want your honest thoughts because I know I've spoken to him.
We got a guy named Ryan. We got a guy named Ryan who wants to come on.
Go ahead, put him on.
Okay. Hey, Ryan.
Now he's gone.
Hello.
In and out.
Sitting there patiently, and I just clicked on him, and now he's gone. Right.
Michael, I want your honest, the truth, okay? Because I've spoken to this man. He was on the call, and that's why I wanted him to call back because I wanted to clear this air. What was your relationship with Michael Keller, and what happened? Because I got a different story.
I'm sure the last thing Mike really said to me was wasn't flattering, and we haven't been flattering to one another. We obviously have animosity towards one another. And
what caused the animosity? That's what I want to know. What was the friction about? Money?
No. In my part, the direction that it was going to be taken, and Frankie, I'll tell you this: when anybody, and this is, I'm not saying one person in alone, but anytime you're involved in any kind of project, and Jaime can tell you this, if people think the money is around the corner, some things change. Some priorities change. Maybe somebody might want you to be put on the back burner. But I will tell you this. When you tell other people that are involved in the project not to speak to me because I'm not the one, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm not the one that's going to be in charge of it, I do take that personal, and I would walk away from anybody that would do that with me. So
okay. So when it came to Michael Keller, for the record, he says he walked away. What do you say?
If that's the way he sees it, then
no. What's the way you see it, for the record?
Well, I have the emails. For the record, I dismissed all those folks and went off in another direction.
So you basically are saying that you fired him. He's saying he walked away.
Nobody was being paid, so I don't want to say fired. I took the option of
parted ways.
Taking my project and going elsewhere with it.
Okay. So
all right. So here we go. Ryan's back.
Go ahead, Dirty.
Should we try to bring him on?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, Ryan, are you there?
Come on. He's gone again.
Seriously,
meant to
people.
be.
It's a simple link. It's a simple link. But
all right.
Dirty, how much time do we have?
The show's only an hour, but it's been going for an hour and 45.
Right.
I mean, I'm surprised there are two guests that have been on, and I mean,
I
this whole time.
You don't have anything to say.
No, I just want the Michael and Jaime to give us their thoughts for their future, because it's important, always looking at the future. Michael, I want to know about your future, what you are envisioning. I know what I'm envisioning for my future, and that's to retire soon, and be part of this setup here. And I've talked to Dirty because I love doing this. I used to work in television for 10 years, and I left it, and I regret it. That's my biggest regret. But Jaime, start with you. What's the vision for your future and your family, and then Michael?
Well, I think luckily both my kids are very independent and on their own, so there's no need for Dad to be the ATM he used to be.
I know how that feels.
Yeah, and then I think for me is just finding projects to get involved in. I'm kind of one of those guys. It's like a shark, has to keep swimming, because if I stop, I feel like I'm going to die. So it's one of those things where any project that comes up that needs something that I can offer, I'm 100% involved and want to, impart any wisdom that I've come across in my 63 years. Holy crap. Can't believe that's happened already. But yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. Just to kind of take I don't want to ever work for anybody. I like the idea of being on my own and flexible, and hopefully I can impart some wisdom, and especially a lot of these younger kids who are starting companies, and some of them have no idea that you still have to have fundamentals in place to be successful.
Correct.
So
thank you for answering that, Michael.
Sure.
The same. I'm lucky. I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary. Found a great woman later in life, and enjoying the grandkids, and I'm looking forward to working with Jaime on a lot of this project, and making it work, because I think we know where a lot of the landmines are already. But that's the biggest part, and retiring soon from the casino industry altogether. That's been great, and just kind of like you, getting ready to retire and enjoy life, and just sit back and relax.
Thank you for
here's a question for you guys. This is again for Michael, for Mike. With the World Football League and NFL, Europe was solely funded by the NFL, and the NFL got tired of being the only entity that was footing the bill. Say each owner invests their own money of $25 million each. There's more of an incentive for a developmental league to succeed with that talent at an all-time high. I don't see why this spring league would not succeed.
Because the NFL ruins it. That's the problem.
Exactly.
NFL ruins everything. They bring in these second and third stringers, and that's the problem. They had the formula. They had the winning formula the first year. I watched it. I was excited. And then the second year, I saw Scott Mitchell. I'm like, who the heck is this turd? And it turned It turned into the worst quarterback that the Orlando Thunder had, and that was the problem. The NFL ruins everything. They do. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
Now,
I hate the NFL.
Now, Michael, we had talked about.
Well, I think that any league needs to stand on its own. I think because the NFL is, if nothing else, they're going to overlay their whole philosophy on every league that they partner with. And I think they're the big gorilla, and they like being the big gorilla, and they like to, to pound their fists. And I think that I'd hate to call any league a developmental league, just because the NFL really and truly, they're not really going to come after anybody. I mean, they may be one or two guys that make it, but I don't think that should be the goal of any league.
Michael?
Well, I agree, Frankie. It's like you said earlier, that the NFL's minor league is college. And I'll take it further than that. The NFL's minor league is anybody that's not the NFL. And if they have any part of it, they're going to control what you do and dictate how you do. Right. And that's why, we're a standalone professional football league on a very small scale, much like the way the NFL started in its beginning years. So I think that's a big difference. It just once having those owners and have them committed for 3 years.
Here's what my problem with the NFL is, and that's why I miss the USFL. I'm glad it's coming back. Here's the problem. Back in the 80s and 90s, you can watch the NFL, although when the USFL came, I abandoned it because of the touchdowns. You can celebrate the touchdowns. In the NFL, they stopped it. But the NFL has quality athletes, yes. But when you watch the game today, I know when they're going to run. I know when they're going to pass. I know what that's happening. When I watch college football, which I'm an Alabama fan, it's exciting. Every play is exciting. People are into the game. When you watch an NFL game, I hate to say you guys, but when I need to go to sleep or take a nap, I watch one or two things, CNN or NFL. I swear to God, it puts me to sleep.
I hear a lot of people say it seems.
What happens to me on Sunday afternoons is watch the game, and I'm probably asleep by halftime.
But I could watch college football from noontime all the way to the West Coast games, and I'm happy.
Yeah, and Frankie, that's the flavor we want to bring. We want to bring that college atmosphere, that flavor of, hey, these guys are playing their hearts out, and hopefully they're well coached, and the game's competitive. But we don't want anything to be predictable.
Did any one of you two guys hear who he said was his favorite college football team?
Yeah, we did.
Alabama.
Yeah, swallow.
God.
The 33rd team in the NFL.
Yes, they can beat. My God, they can beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe even the Jags. You might have two games.
No, but I want to say this. I want to get back to something that Michael had said earlier with the grassroots movement and shit. Michael, let me give you your advice as being a guy who started a grassroots movement with the Battlehawks, right? Like, you could go back to 2019 when we started our show. I'm sorry to bore you, Jaime, that you're yawning.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I apologize.
Way early.
I apologize that I'm boring you.
Don't worry, Jaime. His wife yawns too.
Right. Yawns a different motion, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I want to give you just a word of advice from a guy who kind of helped build a fan base in St. Louis for the Battlehawks, right? You need to, what I would suggest to you is the cities that you're going to, find out if there's people that are doing sports podcasts in that city, right? And reach out to those guys and say, hey, I'm wanting to bring a team to your city. Can you help me? Help me build this. Get the fans behind it. And if you could do that, like if you could get somebody like us, like the XFL STL Talk Show or the Pro Football Alliance show, you'll build your fan base, very much so. And it builds it fast. Like I said, you guys were asking me what our following was. And I told you guys, go Google Battlehawk fan jumps to a flaming table. we were the most viral video of any fan base in the entire XFL because of the stuff that we did. Like right here, Jared says, find somebody in that city, have football parties at sports bars in that cities to talk about your stuff. If you want to get a true grassroots movement, that's the way to do it. That's just my word of advice, being a guy who built a show for fans, by fans. That's how we did it for the XFL.
No, appreciate it. I agree.
So with that being said, it's an hour and 54 minutes. Well, I got rid of the kid for spring break, took him back home to the ex-wife. My wife is home alone at the camper. So I'm going to see her now. But before we go, Michael, tell people where they could find you at, how they can get information for
the best way is the website asfl.biz, B-I-Z. We're going to be updating that thing pretty regularly, and there's going to be a lot of information coming up soon. And Frankie, no announcements, but Frankie, I promise you, if it looks like we're going to fail, we'll announce that too. We're keeping everything above board and complete transparency. And like I said, anything in the future, anything I've told you, I've got plenty of proof to back it up, and no reason to sell you, a lie on any of that stuff from the past. So, we're trying our best. And I can tell you that, and any input you have, always appreciated.
Well, Michael and Jaime, once again, I appreciate you guys coming on. I know it's not easy. Michael, you have a dream. I know you have this dream for the last 20 years, and every man has that dream, okay? Whatever it is. I have a dream. Dirty, everybody. Well, maybe not dirty, but
I have a dream in about an hour and a half.
But I understand where you're coming from, okay? And it's not easy. I wish you nothing but the best, okay? Nothing but the best. And I hope you can launch this thing. I hope you learn from your mistakes from the past and not repeat them. Jaime,
yes, sir.
I wish you nothing but the best too. No matter what happened that you went through, you know what? It's a life lesson. I can't judge you because I'm a sinner just like everybody else. We're all sinners.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes,
so I'm
sir.
not judging you. I appreciate you coming on. I'm hoping maybe in the future we can come on again and talk about, the season or the XFL, USFL, whatever, or maybe the ASFL already launched and we can talk about the season, how it's going. But I do appreciate both of you coming on. Again, Michael, you started this ball rolling with the USFL. You deserve a certain credit in the history books indirectly because you and Jaime are part of this history. Unfortunately, it depends. Unfortunately, in the United States, we tend to, as Americans, we tend to forget our history. So
yes,
hopefully you will have your names in your history, in the history books, and hopefully the USFL just takes off and people will look back on this and say, oh yeah, it started with this person. Okay.
Yeah. And we're the same. I
I'll
think we wish everybody all the success. I mean, I do. I don't hold a grudge against anybody.
I have no grudges either, guys.
Yeah.
Sandy, I know you're listening. I'm starting it now. Hashtag ASFLSTL. Sandy, start the hashtag now. Go to asfl.biz. Sandy, start the hashtag ASFLSTL. St. Louis, I'm gonna have a Frankie. I'm gonna get a tailgate group. We're gonna have the biggest tailgate group.
No, Michael. No.
No. I'm just, hey, you know what, Dirty? If you got the backers, you got the rights. Because it's not on the map, but if the backers are there, we'll put it on the map.
I know there's at least a stadium there.
Yeah.
So trust me, there's a stadium there, but it's getting some new turf laid in with some different colors. So,
Dirty, I did want to thank you guys.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank you and giving us that chance.
No, thank you guys for coming on. I know, as Frankie had stated earlier, there'd been a lot of misconceptions of the story, of what has happened, what transpired with everything in the USFL. And like Frankie said, you guys really are, a piece of that when you said you had taken over the USFL and then everything that happened. And I mean, as Frankie said, for the last 17 years, you guys have kept that name, the USFL, going. And then with Fox launching it, it just kind of brought you guys back into the light. And Frankie's like, hey, with the lawsuit, these would be some really good guys to get on the show and we can ask the hard questions. And I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, cool. I talked to Michael, and I mean, basically, Michael, everything that happened tonight, that was kind of our conversation, was it not?
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's, it happened, and that's the way it happened. And, Jaime knows all about it. And, sorry I failed with it, but, here we go with the ASFL.
Shit, I fail every day. I'm getting ready to fail in about an hour and a half with my wife.
Well, you know what they say, fail forward.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Hey, with that being said, I am Dirty. Thank everybody for joining us tonight. And oh, by the way, Ryan said he was just sitting here to enjoy the show. That's why every time I got him on, he clicked off. So, hey, thank you for everybody that showed up. Please go over to asfl.biz, like their page, sign up for all of their stuff. Go to their Facebook page. What's the Facebook page again? Michael?
The Facebook page is ASFL, American Spring Football League. The same on the Twitter, the Instagram, and all those. And we've got somebody coming in, keeping those things updated because we just don't have the time to keep on them. But again, right. Frankie, thank you for giving me a chance to clear the air, and I appreciate where you were coming from with everything.
No hard feelings, Michael. I just wanted to finally get this out of there, and like I said, this is good content anyway. So
yeah, no, hey, you had it stored up, so
you ready?
Sorry, I let you down.
Again. Michael Dreyer and Frankie from USFL Forever YouTube channel. Kissed and made up. Clickbait.
Oh, geez.
Look at that. With that being said, we will see you guys next week. Go over and subscribe to the YouTube Forever USFL Forever YouTube channel. With that being said, I am Dirty, and I will see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, Frankie.
You're welcome.